Good morning, everyone. It's your weekly podcast, Knowledge Empowers. As always, with you is me, Kat. 안녕하세요. Then we have Baruch.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we have Kolach.
Dobré ráno. Good morning, everyone.
Lots of energy.
Yes.
I'm totally looking forward for new wisdoms because last episode, I was just having that wine fly at home and I was like, I'm not killing it. So let's hear what we will learn today.
Well, you will get 3 again, which again might be applicable, or you need to be careful about those. So I was watching a QI episode, quite interesting episode. It's a British series about information like this, which I strongly recommend. And they were talking about plants, and specifically those meat-eating plants, so carnivorous plants. Mm-hmm. And as they said, we have about 600 species of these carnivorous plants around. And they can eat flies, they can eat bigger things, and there is also sheep-eating plant.
What?
Oh my. How big is the plant?
Yeah, so it's pretty big because it can capture a sheep. Literally it feeds on sheep. So the sheep comes and it's trying to eat it, but it actually gets captured by the plant, and the sheep starves and starts to decay next to the plant. It belongs to the same group as pineapple. So I think the pineapple just got evolved or something like that. And yeah, it's pretty big. It could be like even 2 meters tall, I think, or something like that. When I've seen the pictures, but I'm not sure if I could predict the height
length
out of it.
Yeah.
So
you need to send me the picture. I can't even imagine.
And how does it attract the sheep, or does it just wait that sheep randomly?
It just waits.
Okay. But they must have a lot of sheep, or not. I don't know. I've never heard of this plant, so maybe there are not enough sheep anymore.
There was this joke that Mayer made some announcement that they are trying to keep the plants alive, so feeding them. But they are feeding them on artificial fertilizers because, the organic stuff, the natural stuff for them is quite, would be problematic feeding them sheep. So they turned into this. So, yeah, well, try to look it up anyway.
I will.
Yeah. And I will stay with the plants. And then the next thing is about carrots. When do you think the carrot dies?
Huh? What?
Dies?
Why
when we
dies?
eat it?
Yeah, Baruch, exactly. The carrot dies when you chew it, and it dies in your stomach. So when you pluck it, it's still alive, it's still happy, but only when you actually start to digest it, that's when the carrot dies.
It's a way to make feel vegetarians bad about eating stuff.
What's more, actually, is that they were measuring some electricity charges there, and it seems that the plants do have this or release electric charge when they are actually being dissolved in the stomach. So they compare to the last cry for help. So like.
No!
So this is what's happening in our stomachs with carrots.
Oh my god. And I thought I said a very stupid thing when I said when we eat them.
Yeah, that's it. And that's probably valid for most of the plants, and the electric charge is also valid for meat, if I heard well. So,
oh no,
Crazy.
I will feel bad about eating
Carrots.
yeah, and any vegetables really from now on.
Yep, they will be crying all the time as you are trying to
Stop
stop
it.
them.
Stop crying. I'm hungry.
Yep. Since we won't be able to get rid of that part. And the last part is connected to carrots as well, but in funnier way. And do you eat carrots to get a better eyesight?
No.
No?
I eat blueberries to get better eyesight.
Blueberries? Okay, why not? There is this saying, like...
I know there is the saying, but I only believed it when I was little. Not anymore.
Yeah, I haven't heard this kind of fact
Really?
recently. Yeah. Recently.
Recently.
When I was young, yes. Recently, no.
Yeah. So the thing is that carrots are good for your eyes. They do have these minerals that they are good.
Okay.
But they don't improve the eyesight, as it says in the myth. It was created in a Second World War because the Brits, the UK, needed to somehow explain why their airplanes are shooting more Germany bombers, and they didn't want to say that they have the radar or they improved this thing. So when they were trying to explain why, so they said like, our army is eating more carrots because that's good for eyesight, and actually not just for the eyesight, but for the night vision as well. So our soldiers have a better
idea.
Yep. So this is how the myth was created and how it got popular. So eat carrots, and if you're expecting a night vision, sorry, bad news for you.
More blueberries for you.
Exactly. Maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't read that one.
And we will see, we will hear another story about World War II. Radars with blueberries.
Okay. And night vision. Ooh. So what's today's topic?
Yeah, so today's topic, I still want to continue in the emotions.
Okay.
But this time, I would like to ask you, where do you think that the emotions are coming from?
Brain.
Yeah, brain. Okay.
I say guts, because sometimes you have that gut feeling.
Yeah.
And
You're
also,
talking about emotions. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I think there was some study that said that, for example, a lot of people with depression, they have they don't have a good gut health. So yeah, I think there is a lot of connection with, like Kat said, with gut.
Yeah. You're going on it in a good way. The emotions are coming from the whole body. Your whole body is perceiving the situation.
Heart?
Same, good. Like, yeah, you can say that you have this heart feeling because you are somehow perceiving it as well. And let's focus more on what are the elements forming the emotion. So let's imagine the situation like this.
So I know adrenaline is coming from kidneys. And adrenaline, if we raise it, creates anger, right? So
yeah.
So when you say elements, do you mean like there is a trigger?
I'm gonna say an example and we will talk about it. So example is that you are going for the mid-year review with your manager.
I just had it yesterday.
Good. So maybe we will explore that part, or we will see how you react. And when you're going for the review, you know that you have your one-on-one, and we will stay with the physical space. So you are going to a meeting room where you have this one-on-one with your manager. And as you knock on the door, manager says, "Come in." You open the door, you see that your manager is sitting behind the desk. You see that he has some papers and a pen on the side. And you see that he has a poker face. Let's talk that the manager is he. And he tells you, sit down. So what would be your emotion at that moment? How would you feel?
Stomach crumbles, or how you say when stomach goes like shrinks? A little bit anxious, I would say.
Anxious, okay.
It depends if the paper has a space for you to sign it or not.
Or how well do we know that manager? I'm literally thinking of one particular one, and because we knew him, it was like, "Hey, what's up?" But yeah, but if we just talk like taking what Kolach explained, then I'd say my stomach would shrink and I would feel anxious.
Okay, and you said that you would feel anxious. Maybe the manager would say hi in that case, right? Hey man. And Baruch, you said that you would be looking for more clues or something like that. But it sounds definitely. But it sounded like you would be also anxious and like how to interpret the situation.
Yeah.
Are there the dots at the bottom of the page? Put the signature here.
Yeah, or a line.
That definitely could be, Okay, so let's have a look on what in that moment triggered this emotion, this anxiety or this anxiousness. So what elements, or what, Baruch, you said that you would be looking for the paper. What was behind that?
For me, I don't like to make conclusions before I have sufficient data. So, but at the
it
same
was
time,
you were like searching whether those are the papers, like sign here, so we will
yeah, because
quit
I
your
think,
job.
well, we have natural tendency to protect ourselves and expect the worst.
Mm.
So I think that's where that's where it's coming from.
Yeah. So what you said, let's give you the shape and form. So one of those are automatic thoughts. Yeah, like you said that I might be fired. You know, that's one of the automatic thoughts, which you would be trying to either confirm or disregard. It could be automatic thought, and again, it depends on your automatic thought what emotion it's going to be. It could be that you might not be expecting, you might be signing the papers because you're expecting higher salary or promotion, you know. So expectations could be like, oh, finally it's coming, you know, and you will be feeling excited. So this is the first thing which creates it. It's automatic thoughts. The other part which we're talking about is the expectations, which you mentioned, and that's the expectations either of the worst or of the best. So you are either expecting it that, you know, it's gonna be tough, and you are gonna feel anxiety, you know, like, well, what there are. So the expectations, again, it could be like what you can slightly touch, and that's like, this is the usual behavior of my manager. I know him. This is unusual behavior, and I don't know what's gonna happen. So those are the expectations. Or maybe it could be that you have some learned expectations, you know, like my mom scolded me or my dad scolded me this way when I was young. So this is what's gonna happen right now, you know, and this is the expectations you are creating, and automatic thoughts which you are creating just on entering and seeing the situation. So those are two elements so far.
I'm just wondering that whether it's based on nations or a culture, because I think that we Slovak have the tendency, like you explain the situation, to think the worst, not the best. Like, hey, salary increase. We tend to have, oh my god, I had to do something bad, or maybe that I'm gonna be fired. Whether there are cultures who actually would go like, oh, this is awesome.
I don't think it's because of the culture. I think it's mostly because we are humans, and our nature is telling us to avoid all the scary, dangerous thingies. And one of them is unemployment, because, you know, you lose the sense of belonging and security and all that stuff. So it's triggering all these possibilities. So our brains were evolved to avoid dangerous things, all the fears, you know, disgust and all that stuff. It converts into our presumptions, into our expectations. You know, so that's why people are usually afraid of doing new things, because, you know, the old things are much safer. That's why we could be scared of, you know, this situation, because we don't know what's going to happen, and it could endanger us.
I mean, I see this with a lot of people that they just try to avoid, you know, new things because comfort is in known things, right? But at the same time, I think what Kit said is also there's something in it, because like you have some cultures where you have more explorers, and you have some cultures where don't have many breakthroughs. They try to stick to the old, let's say Japan versus US, right? When we talk about countries, Japan sticks to tradition, while US is like, at least was, or is trying to be the, you know, innovators and explorers.
I'm not a culture expert, so I don't know how this could be translated to cultures, but the brains are the same. So I don't know how much it could be impacted by these nuances, you know. So I'm gonna stick to that it may seem so, but in reality it's not really like that. Americans or US people will still be afraid, you know, if they enter the room with the manager having the might be afraid of entering such a room, you know, with manager and having the pipers. Just the same as Japanese would. So those were the two things which are impacting our emotions, automatic thoughts, and the other ones are our expectations of ourselves and of the situation others. Now imagine that you are entering the room and it's after lunch. You had a really full course of meals. You had the soup, full meal, and dessert as well. You had a coffee afterwards, and you're entering the room. How do you feel? Is there a difference?
Schnitzel, comma.
Schnitzel, comma, yeah. So you might feel tiredness, a small tiredness, right? So your body is not at full anxiety mode. Yeah. What else? Or let's imagine that you had 2 drinks of wine before entering that. Is there a difference? How would you feel?
I wanted to say relax, but wine makes me sleepy. If I would
Okay,
have,
sure.
so if I would have beer,
So 2 shots of vodka?
no, if I would have beer, I would be like over even more smiling and more laughter. But if I would have wine, I would be even more sleepy.
Yeah. So that's the third thing which actually gets our emotions or changes our emotions, and that's biochemistry. What we eat, what we drink, how we sleep, all these elements are there. So that's the neurology. Also, the mirroring neurons are there. So, like you see your manager and you are automatically reflecting it. So that's another thing which is there. Now, imagine that you are entering the room and you know that you have 2 kids at home, wife, and you see the situation. How would you feel?
Same. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I can read him, and I don't know him that well, I would fear that I did something wrong.
Okay.
I would feel even more burdened and like with a heavy heart going there
Mhm,
because
sure.
there are some people relying on me.
Yeah.
Too much
Okay.
responsibility.
Yeah.
What if you are going there with the thought that you are gonna get a critical feedback which will help you get a career promotion?
I would ask why the papers?
Why the papers? Yeah, sure. But how would you feel? How would you feel? Not what would you do? Not what would you do, but how would you feel?
Hopeful.
Hopeful. Okay.
Yeah, and it's going to be challenged, but at the same time positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the fourth thing which actually creates our emotions are our own needs. So if I'm in need of safety, I will probably fear of such situation. If I'm missing or my need of self-respect is not fulfilled, if my need of value is not fulfilled, I'm gonna be afraid of the situation because it's gonna interrupt all these things. It's gonna maybe shatter something. But if I have a need of growth or if I have the need of recognition, I might feel different because again, my needs are different and this situation may give me what I need. So that's the fourth thing. And the fifth thing, which actually creates the emotion, is the behavior. So if I have all these automatic thoughts, if I have these needs, if I have these biases and expectations towards that situation, and my body is feeling one way, I'm gonna do something. For example, I see the situation and I will heavily pull the chair and sit with the loud noise, and that's again gonna trigger something in the manager, and again it's gonna reinforce some of my thoughts and expectations in my mind again. So it's gonna become a circle there. So behaviors is the fifth thing, but it's not necessarily that it's just behavior which becomes the emotion, but more of a circle. There is not like you can't do one without the other. So these are the 5 things which creates how we feel: the expectations or the biases we have around the world, then the automatic thoughts, then we talked about biochemistry, then it's about also the needs and our behaviors. Have you noticed that there is something what usually people tend to say that it's responsible for their emotions, but it's not on the list? Other people. Others are not responsible for your emotions. It's just these 5 elements. if you're gonna try to blame someone else, I'm sorry. If you're
It's
angry,
your own
it's not,
fault.
if you're angry, it's not because of someone else, it's because of you, because there were some triggers. So,
or at least your brain. You can blame your brain.
You can blame your brain. Definitely, it's like blaming yourself. That's a good first start. So yeah, that's what happens. It's not the fact that it's raining. It's not that somebody was misbehaving. It's just you.
Oh, ta.
Yeah. But then the other fact is also true. Like you can't change someone's emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You are not responsible, or you can't do it directly. Like you can influence the biochemistry. You don't need to give somebody food or wine before talking about something, or beers. Or you can to know that, but that's again influencing it indirectly. It's not that you have control over someone's emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have the tendency to over exaggerate and like make employees drunk. Imagine they come on have a drink. We're going to have a conversation.
Well, I can imagine that happening, before interviews. Like, let's have a few shots and then let's talk about your performance review.
Or an interview. Hey, what's up? My name is Kate. How are you? Are you okay? Yes.
The thing is also that most of these processes are unconscious. 90% of this happens unconsciously. Like you don't have full control over those, and it happens like instantly. So yeah, you need to be really mindful. Or this is where all the mindfulness helps to be aware of what actually is happening within your brain or within your thoughts, so that when this situation comes in, it doesn't necessarily need to mean that those papers are anything to do with you.
But also I'm just thinking that whether you can like train it, because I used to be, if I go years back, like scared, but these days, maybe because of the experiences, etc., I literally don't deal with things until I know facts. I'm like absolutely carefree, and I deal with it until that person would say something like, are we going to, I don't know, fire you, or we promotion, or da-da-da. Only then I will adapt. But until that moment, I'm like, hey, how are you? And I'm like really free-spirited person.
You can train that in two ways. As you said, experience that your brain is not reacting such heavily on that trigger. I believe that there are different triggers which are triggering you immediately, not just, like this. Somebody can say one sentence and you would be like blowing off, I believe.
One word. My
one
mom.
word even, yeah. So,
Katarina! Oh!
So there are pieces where the experience doesn't help, but there are studies on, because the thing is that when you have the input, when you hear something, it first goes for the emotional processing, or that's the shorter way, and that's why the emotion triggers faster than your thoughts or your neocortex, basically. Like, strictly speaking about this, there is a larger neuron path towards your thinking than to your emotions. But the thing is also that throughout those mindfulness trainings, there is a delay that you can cause a delay on the emotional reaction, and you can process you can process it then from more of an aspect of the neocortex of the thoughts or like logical aspects than the emotions, or you're just creating this second barrier to just pause you for a moment. And that's what you need, what you can train, and what you possibly need to train, that there is a possibility like this.
And with that, we're gonna say Sukasha Smita.
Bye
bye. Bye. Ciao.
This podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.